On a crisp autumn evening in late October 1953, the city of La Crosse, Wisconsin was alive with the excitement of the University of Wisconsin's homecoming game. It was a time when neighborhoods felt safe, when families left their doors unlocked, and when a teenager babysitting for a neighbor seemed routine. That night, 15-year-old Evelyn Hartley began what should have been an ordinary evening, but before midnight she would vanish without a trace. Hello friends, my name is Marcia, and this is Midwest Murders, where we explore the unsolved cases that still haunt America. In this episode, we examine the mystery of Evelyn Hartley and what happened that night, how a community responded, and why this case of lost innocence still resonates more than 70 years later. La Crosse sits along the Mississippi River in an area known for its dramatic bluffs, narrow valleys, and wooded areas. By the 1950s, the city was a regional hub of education, with manufacturing quickly becoming a major economic force. The post-war boom brought new homes and young families, especially on the city's south side, where Evelyn's disappearance would unfold. These neighborhoods reflected the optimism of the time: full basements, big windows, children playing in the streets, and neighbors who truly knew one another. It was, by all accounts, a community that felt secure and entirely safe. Evelyn Grace Evie Hartley was a straight-A sophomore at Central High School. She played piano, sang in her church choir, and was described as responsible, kind, and bright. Just a month shy of her 16th birthday, she occasionally dated but didn't have a steady boyfriend. She was 5'7", weighed 126 pounds, with light brown hair and blue eyes. She lived at 1533 Johnson Street with her parents, Richard and Ethel Hartley, and her younger sister, Carolyn. Her father was a biology professor at La Crosse State College, now the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. Her mother was a homemaker. Evelyn had two older brothers, Thomas, a college student, and Richard, who had tragically died of polio in 1946 while serving in the Navy. At approximately 6:30 p.m. on October 24, 1953, Evelyn was dropped off by her father on Heschler Drive at the home of Viggo Rasmussen, a fellow professor. She was there to babysit the Rasmussens' 20-month-old daughter while they attended the college football homecoming game. Their regular babysitter and Evelyn's classmate, Janice Cowley, was also at the game, so Evelyn agreed to fill in. She arrived wearing red denim jeans, a white blouse with pearl buttons, and saddle shoes, bringing along a stack of textbooks to study. As was her routine when babysitting, Evelyn was supposed to phone home at 8:30 p.m., but when that call never came, her father grew concerned and began calling the house repeatedly. When no one answered, he drove to 2415 Heschler Drive. What he found was deeply unsettling. The house was locked, but the lights were on and a radio played inside. For 10 minutes he knocked and called for Evelyn with no response. He finally found a basement window unlocked and its screen removed, and inside the basement, under the window, was a small stepladder used by the Rasmussen family for touch-up painting. Inside he found one of Evelyn's shoes at the foot of the basement stairs, and her other shoe and eyeglasses in the middle of the living room floor. The child she'd been watching was asleep and unharmed in her crib. Evelyn was nowhere to be found. Mr. Hartley rushed across the street to the home of neighbor Frank Linder at 2416 Heschler Drive and called police. District Attorney John Bossard later criticized police for their initial response. Officers first assumed Evelyn was a runaway and failed to secure the scene properly. By the time they recognized the gravity of the situation, a crowd had gathered, and evidence may have been compromised. Investigators found signs of forced entry and a violent struggle. 3 windows showed pry marks. The abductor appeared to have entered through a basement window that did not fit properly and could not be locked. Footprints from a pair of sneakers were discovered in the basement window well and in the living room. Blood matching Evelyn's type was found inside the house, and 2 pools of blood were found in the yard. Bloody handprints extended almost the full length of one wall on the neighboring Eugene Donner house and were also found about 100 feet away on a nearby garage. Police believed Evelyn had been dragged through the grass, her abductors stopping at least twice where the blood pooled as they rested her on the ground. Bloodhounds followed her scent to Coley Drive, 2 blocks away, before it vanished, leading police to suspect she was placed in a vehicle and driven off. Several witnesses provided clues. Mrs. L.C. McClathan, the next-door neighbor, had been washing dishes with a clear view into the Rasmussen home. She noticed nothing unusual until later when she saw the door to the basement standing open. A witness known only as Mr. X in police reports but later identified as Ed Hoffer reported seeing two men walking down the street near the home where the blood trail ended. The men were holding a young girl wedged between them. Hoffer dismissed it, thinking the girl was drunk and the men were celebrating college homecoming. A little later, Hoffer was nearly struck by a car coming from the same home, and it was described as a dark green 1941 or 42 two-tone S41 Buick. He saw a young man and girl in the back seat, with the girl leaning forward. 3 days later, Hoffer saw the car downtown, wrote down the license number, and believed he recognized one of the two young men exiting the car as a La Crosse State College student. Mr. E.M. Satterback, living a few blocks away at 2147 South 25th Street, heard a scream at about 7:15 p.m., but he dismissed it as children playing. Police later believed that was the moment Evelyn was abducted. The search for Evelyn became one of the largest in Wisconsin history. More than 2,000 people joined, including law enforcement, National Guard members, Boy Scouts, and students from La Crosse State College, covering a 30-mile stretch along the Mississippi River. The Civil Air Patrol and U.S. Air Force scanned 50 square miles from the air, while flotillas of boaters searched the network of rivers and backwaters. Police launched a county-wide vehicle inspection program, searching every car and marking those cleared with stickers reading, "My car is okay." They even reopened fresh graves to ensure Evelyn had not been buried with another body. Hunters and farmers were asked to check their land for disturbed soil or freshly turned earth. The FBI declined to assist, calling it a sex crime rather than a kidnapping. It was a decision that frustrated many locals and left them feeling abandoned by the very system they trusted. Meanwhile, local authorities conducted mass lie detector tests on high school boys and faculty members, a controversial move halted after about 300 tests. To silence rumors, Evelyn's father voluntarily took a polygraph test and passed. Over 3,500 people were interviewed, yet no trace of Evelyn was ever found. 2 weeks after the abduction, a pair of well-worn, tattered sneakers were found in Vernon County on Highway 14 just west of Coon Valley. Police stated that they were, beyond any doubt, the shoes that left impressions in the Rasmussen home. Dirt found on the shoes was linked to dirt in the house. The design on the tennis shoes was identified with impressions found in the dirt at the Rasmussen home the night Evelyn disappeared. A jacket smeared with the same blood type as Evelyn was found near the shoes. Faded marks on the back of the jacket led police to a harness maker who identified the harness as the type used by steeplejacks, men who climbed chimneys, smokestacks, and church steeples for repair work. The two men who ordered the harnesses were never located. A pair of trousers found in a culvert 7 miles further west on Highway 14 from where the shoes were found also bore bloodstains that were the same type as Evelyn. The evidence of the recovered clothing and shoes is compelling, but important questions remain. While police believe the dirt on the shoes provided proof that they were worn inside the home, it's worth noting that in 1953, soil comparison was based on sight and texture, meaning that match might have been more hopeful than factual. And while the blood on the jacket and trousers matched Evelyn's type A, 45% of the U.S. population at that time shared the same blood type. The jacket itself, tied to steeplejacks, a dangerous trade in the 1950s, with little more than rope and grit to keep them safe, suggests the blood may have come from a work accident rather than from Evelyn, a small detail that introduces another layer of uncertainty. Police were grasping at straws to find a suspect. With little evidence to go on, they detained any man driving a two-tone car with Illinois plates or any man accused of an offense against a woman. Several confessed but later recanted under questioning. For a time, investigators even suspected Ed Gein, the notorious killer and grave robber who inspired the movie Psycho. He was reportedly in the area visiting relatives, but no evidence linked him to the crime. In 2004, a man named Mel Williams came forward with a recording that he'd made at a bar in 1969. By then, decades had passed, and the answers were growing colder by the year. Although his goal was to record a performing musical group, the conversation between two men was unintentionally recorded also. One man identified himself as Clyde Peterson and claimed he and two others were involved, saying Evelyn was murdered and buried near Lafarge, Wisconsin. There's no record that police ever pursued this lead, and all those involved are now deceased. Evelyn's disappearance sent shockwaves through La Crosse. In a town where neighbors once left their doors unlocked, families suddenly kept a closer watch. The Rasmussen family quickly put their home up for sale. A reward fund was established that eventually reached $6,600, about $78,000 today. The search remains one of the largest in state history. The Hartley family never recovered from the loss. They moved to Portland, Oregon in the 1970s. Richard died in 1986 and Ethel in 2002. A cenotaph bearing Evelyn's name stands with their marker at Camp Creek Cemetery in Nebraska, a memorial to the daughter who never came home. Multiple theories have attempted to explain what happened that night. Initially, police thought two men intended to burglarize the house, thinking it was empty, and found Evelyn inside. They first thought the intruders forced her out the basement window, but later adjusted the theory, believing they took her out via the home's self-locking front door. They believe she tried to escape, was knocked unconscious, and the intruders panicked, killing her and disposing of her body. Neighbors felt the motive was sexual, not murder. They theorized Evelyn either left the house voluntarily or was lured out, then screamed when she realized something was wrong, prompting one of the men to hit her. Neighbors also suspected the abductors, believed to be college or high school students, may have gotten the wrong babysitter, as Evelyn was filling in for the regular sitter. Considering the evidence, I believe the police theory about Evelyn being forced out the basement window was likely an attempt to explain her shoe found at the bottom of the basement stairway. It feels more likely she went to the basement after hearing something and encountered her abductor there, who subdued her before she ever had a chance to escape. It's also worth remembering that some neighbors felt police were not investigating all possible leads thoroughly, citing the fact that nearby neighbors weren't interviewed until 2 weeks into the investigation. A private citizen even hired the Hargraves Secret Service Agency out of Minneapolis, but both the police and the Hartley family refused to cooperate. Did investigators miss something simple in those early, chaotic hours? Or was the truth buried within the night itself? Evelyn's case is a chilling reminder of how quickly ordinary moments can turn to tragedy. Her disappearance changed a community and left behind questions that time has yet to answer. Her case remains open, and evidence from that night is still held by the La Crosse Police Department. If you have any thoughts or theories about what happened to Evelyn, I'd love to hear them. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and may the truth reveal itself in the shadows.